which is a small town on the east coast of the South Island, New Zealand. I am in lockdown with my son.
My name is Danny Glazer, and I live in the States with my husband and my 2 kiddos.
My name is Heike Cebula Elder, and I live in Dunedin on the South Island of New Zealand on the east coast, which is right by the Pacific Ocean, which is a beautiful place with my partner and my youngest son.
The last 2 years have been really interesting because he was diagnosed with POEMS syndrome. So, and he's been recovering from that. So we have that on top of being quarantined, and so we're there's the concern for his health on top of, navigating this new normal for ourselves, with grocery shopping and not leaving the house and all of that. So it's been really interesting. It's kind of leveled up right now.
So in our little bubble where we live here in Dunedin, we are all working from home now. So I work as a teacher, and straight when we went into level 4 lockdown, and in fact at my school even earlier, because I work at Logan Park High School, and we had a case at the school before the country went into general lockdown, and our school was already closed before. So our being away from school has probably taken now 8 weeks instead of maybe 7 for most of the others. So I work from home, and I've been teaching my 7 different classes once a week online, and the rest of the time I'm working with email.
A challenge I've been facing is that my other son is not in lockdown here with us. He is at his dad's place, and that is not in our local area. So grateful to have technology to be able to stay in touch with him, and the simple things like being able to say hi to my mum and see her and give her a hug and those sorts of things. Those are the challenges that I've struggled with. But on the other side of that, still working, I'm having people contact daily, so it has been great too. The 2 challenges I've been facing is that as an essential worker, it is difficult for me to get to the supermarket throughout the week. The other side of that is I actually don't want to go to the supermarket. So while it might seem a challenge, it's actually been quite useful that I'm using what we've got in our cupboards and having to be resourceful and coming up with new ideas for dinner. And
I've certainly had some discussions and arguments with my son. Being a teacher, I guess this is not always so easy for Liam as well to take advice on board, or maybe sometimes I'm not as patient, I find, as I might be with my students. So we've had some discussions about that. Likewise, I have certainly had comments from my students who found that difficult, and how I explain the tasks that I want them to do has been, received sometimes with difficulty. So I've learned quite a lot that I have to be much shorter, much more concise, and not so ambiguous using this online environment.
We've been lucky in that because of what happened before. He's already working from home. So in that sense, we're able to function without much difference, but just going out is a whole new level of stress, because it's like, you're going out there, there's the uncertainty. And aside from the fact that my husband, who usually before never wanted to leave the house, now wants to go shopping and everything. Let's see, challenges. I think for me, it's been the grocery shopping, because I didn't like it before, and having to go out and just do shopping or do things in general now. There's the whole to wear a mask or not wear a mask. There's the limited number of people in the store. With the way the virus is, it's been, you know, you just, it's like a level of unknown and uncertainty, and then you want to keep your family, well, for me, we have two immunocompromised people in the house, so it's trying to keep everybody safe. And
it's making us stop and slow down. It's making us rethink how we do things, why we do things. Do we need to continue doing them the way that we are? And can we do things better? And for me, that looks like not sweating so much about the small stuff, just allowing what is to be. And I really do feel that, yes, there is some heartache out there. Yes, people are being challenged. There are some hard times ahead on lots of different levels. But the other side of that for me is that we can do this better when we come out the other side. And I think that's the possibility that we can create for ourselves. The other thing I'd like to say that is I'm incredibly grateful to be a Kiwi in New Zealand at this time under the leadership of Jacinda Ardern. I think she's doing an incredible job looking after us all and having to make those hard decisions for us. I think she's been amazing, and I do feel very blessed that I'm not elsewhere in the world, and we're here and we're safe and we're coming through this.
I share the workspace with my son, who quite often will work opposite me. And then he might quickly ask a question as well and check in with something that he's doing. And my partner works in one of our rooms in the house as well. But it's quite nice. Come 10 o'clock, he will come and make a coffee for us, and we have lunch together, which is really nice. And then in the afternoon, I've been trying to get quite active. So this online environment has allowed us as well to go and play tennis in the afternoon, rather than sticking to the normal timetable when I would come home much later. So we've spent time learning together and cooking and playing sports together and playing lots of Monopoly. Oh my God, we've been playing Monopoly. I don't know, I think we must have played the 10th game now, and we can get all quite competitive. So these are sort of the activities that we are spending our time with. I'm sleeping in longer, so sometimes in general, I've really enjoyed most aspects of it. I mean, I guess having family in Europe meant that I've always been quite used to keeping in touch via technology. So that's just the same now with my Kiwi friends here. So we've played a card game online where we met, and we would all sit with our app and also using Zoom to see each other, play our card game. And that has been very funny to make that work and to find out that, yes, we can do that. We can still meet up even if it's not in person. I think, you know, I listened to a guy this morning on the radio. He was interviewed by National Radio, and he has been living in his car for 8 weeks now. And he was asked about how difficult that is and how many aspects of life we take for granted. So I think it certainly has reminded me, listening to him as well, that simple things are really important. And the other thing exactly that comes to mind is that I talked to one of my students, and she said how many more dolphins she's seen in the harbor. And I felt the same. The bird life is just amazing. We have fantails in the garden, tuis and belbins. I think in general, just having so much less noise, people not driving so much, has been just letting nature come back, slowing down in general, taking more time. And I guess with my students having more one-to-one, which is much more possible in this kind of environment.
We discovered that the last 2 years has really prepared us for this, in the sense that we've learned to find the gifts. So the first thing we did when this happened was, you know, what are the gifts in this situation? Well, we get to be home and spend time as a family and care for each other. And then we had the look for opportunities, you know, because it's like, okay, we're home, we're safe. My husband, he works from home because of what happened. And so he is able to and then I homeschool. So our lives have not been too disrupted compared to others, which has been a positive. We are comfortable with uncertainty. I mean, it's nerve-wracking, you know, going out and trying to navigate you know, going outside the house and navigating that has been a little challenging. But for the most part, I mean, we've been dealing with uncertainty. When his original diagnosis, we didn't know if he would survive. So we're sort of comfortable with it. It's kind of like before, uncertainty was very scary, and now it's kind of like, all right, here you are, might as well have a cup of tea while you're here. So and we've learned a lot of tools because we've already dealt with the grief of not knowing if he would survive the first time. So we've gotten very comfortable with grief, so we're not missing things as much because we've already had to make, when he was first diagnosed and his immune system was compromised, it's like, okay, we need to kind of hunker down a little bit. We don't go to big parties, or, you know, we don't spend a lot of time with a lot of people. So we had started limiting. This is the extreme right now. So, and then I think we've been using the power of reframing. So it's like you look at the situation you're given, and instead of asking why me or why us or why is this happening, it's okay, what's the best way to deal with this situation? How can we be the best person that we can be? Because some days you're going to wake up and it's going to be like, yeah, I'm motivated, I want to clean my house, or I'm not, I haven't been that yet. But some people are, you know, they're like, oh, I'm getting all this stuff done. Some days you get up and you've got that, wow, like it kind of hits you. And so your days are, you're going to have good day. I don't want to say good days and bad days, but you're going to have some days where your best is really energetic and motivating. And then other days where you're going to want to sit on that couch and watch Netflix or the movies or what have you. Practicing, we've been valuing our joy and our immune systems, which sounds kind of weird, but we have really healthy boundaries that we've been able to actually set more of with what's been going on. And if we're tired, we rest. If we are too stressed by the news, we won't listen to it for a while, or we'll get it from another avenue. And we've been really making time as a family to play and create. So that has been really, really powerful with everything happening. And we also look at things. When my husband was first diagnosed, we made the decision right away, how can we empower ourselves in this situation? And that has sort of carried through into this. And so instead of looking at it like, okay, this is a virus and yes, it's global, and, you know, yes, there are some really serious things happening out there. How can we empower ourselves and not take on that victim mentality, you know? So we look for every little thing that we can do, like the reframing, like how do we make the best of the situation? And then how can we help others in the community? So we've been supporting our local community as best as we can, whether it's just, there's a lot of restaurants here that they're local, and there are local farms. So we try to invest money in because they do the delivery and everything right now. So we try to give back to the community as much as we can. And then I think the biggest positive in all of this has been the gratitude, because we were practicing gratitude before, but now it's like a whole other level. I mean, you get up and you're like, I'm just grateful that I'm up this morning. You know, I'm grateful that I'm with my family, and it's how you use your perspective and how you look at things right now, because that we can control. You know, we can control our responses to the situation. And I don't want to sound like I am ignoring what's happening, because we do make space for grief. You know, we do have days, and I tell I have a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old. So we do have days where they're just like, I don't understand. And so it's like, if you need to cry, cry. If you need to be angry, process it, but then come back to what you can control, because eventually this is going to change. Everything's going to shift.